Hello, and thank you for joining us. This is No Sound Bites Allowed, and I am your host, Michael Voss, Dragon of the Southern Tier. I'm happy to be here with you today on April 12th of 2022. It's the middle of the morning, and I wanted to take a moment to speak with you on something completely different than what our channel usually will do. Now, if you are a fan of the program, you would know that we normally talk about politics. We talk about the politics of the past and currently, and how that will inform our future. And we take that very seriously. But just like everyone else, we don't just watch the news. We do take an opportunity, take a break to hear other things. And today we want to talk about one of those things we heard while taking a break. One of those things that, well, it's been bugging us for a while. Representation, diversity. But first, I do want to mention that if it is the first time you're seeing our channel, we do hope you enjoy it, and we thank you for being part of our audience, although this is not the normal content that we provide. Normally, we do long-form political commentary, and every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do a live stream with you. We reach out on all the social media that we can to hear your voice in chats and phone calls from around the world to tell us what's important to you, because we believe in your First Amendment rights. Even if you're not an American, we want to hear what you have to say because we think it's important. Today, we're going to go into something completely different, and that is talking about entertainment, talking about diversity, talking about representation, because of something that I saw. There's a program. It's called Heelsvsbabyface. This is the key presenter. That's his name. His name is Az, and he talks about TV shows. He reviews different programs, a lot of them on the CW network. And one of the channels and one of the programs that he's reviewed is called Batwoman. Now, Batwoman is the female sidekick initially, and now a spin-off character in the Bat family. He's a female version of Batman, and in the modern, most recent retelling of this, she is now black. She's originally a white woman, she's now a black woman, and she happens to be gay, according to the CW, which is pandering towards a bunch of people, black people, gay people, because diversity. That's the answer. Does that make it good? Well, not in the case of Batwoman, not at all. It's a miserable program, horrible writing, bad design, horrible directing, and it's completely laughable. And as a result, its ratings have gone down and down and down and down. Even though Twitter and many of the more progressive parts of Twitter and the internet have been saying it's great and everyone has to see this, and no one wants to see this because it's just not good. And there was this one small part of what he was talking about this video, in which Javisha Leslie is talking about racism, why people don't like Batwoman and don't like her as Batwoman, which she says is because she's black. But that's not necessarily the case. That's not what the majority may be upset with. And Az was discussing that, but then he said this small part that I want to get into.
And it's so important to so many people.
No, it's not. It's not. Well, hold on. Let me carry it. Like, she's. We could all guess what she's going to say now, and you're all correct. She's going to say, I saw a little girl. This is the story that everyone fucking says. A little girl came to me and said, "Oh, I see myself. I can see myself on the screen because I am black too." That bullshit story that you can only relate if you see yourself on the screen.
You know, we've been hearing that a lot lately. Oh, you have to have a character in there that's black. You have to have a character in there that's gay or Hispanic or Asian or, well, definitely female, of course. And we've seen this in a lot of movies over and over again. Ms. Marvel, Black Widow, the new Amazon Lord of the Rings or Rings of Power. We're seeing this in a lot of programming. Well, you can't appreciate things unless it's just like you. And in fact, we're hearing that in politics as well. Your politicians, if they don't represent you, well, then you're being left out. The most recent case being Ketanji Brown Jackson. Justice Jackson is black and she's a woman, and therefore she's going to represent. It makes no sense because we're talking about things that actually have nothing to do with the quality of the individuals involved. It has nothing to do with their capabilities whatsoever. In fact, looking at Batwoman, the TV show, it's filled with black men, black women, gay people, bisexual people, no straight people really, almost no white men unless they're villains, and usually only for one episode, and usually only a small part of that episode. So that should, by the quota of diversity and by the quota of representation, well, then it should be phenomenal. There should be a groundswell, except it's horrible. It's a crap show. It's kind of like the TV show Naomi, also on the CW. It's a horrible show. It's not worth the time, and no one's watching it. Because representation doesn't equal good writing, good acting, good directing, a good story. Doesn't mean a good character. That's why the Black Iron Woman to replace Tony Stark, done by Marvel Comics, no one liked it. No one wanted it. And it didn't sell. Representation is pretty useless. But we keep getting told by the very progressive left in news media and politics that we have to have representation in every aspect of our lives. That it's really absolutely important because it will change your life. Why is it going to change your life? If you're paying attention to the color of the skin of the person that's on there, if you're looking for telltale signs about their sexuality in a story about, I don't know, action or science fiction, crime drama, maybe a heist. What has that got to do with their sexuality, their color of skin? How's that made better? If you're paying attention to those things, then you're not paying attention to the story itself or the acting that's going on. You're losing in the whole thing. It's superficial. That's it. You need to be superficial. And if we can superficially appeal to you, well, then we've done our job. Everything is perfect, which is kind of shallow and hollow and worthless. I can't get past that. It doesn't improve anything that you're getting. Let me give you an idea of what I'm talking about here. This is Denzel Washington, and that happens to be Malcolm X. And this is when Denzel played Malcolm X, a role that I think he should have gotten the Oscar for. I thought it was a well-done movie by Spike Lee, very, very true to the autobiography of Malcolm X, and I thought it was a wonderful, powerful portrayal. And a lot of people said, well, Denzel looked a lot like Malcolm X, and he did a great job of becoming Malcolm X. And when you looked at that, you'd say, wow, that's incredible. Now, when I watched the movie, I didn't look at the screen and go, I want to be like Denzel Washington, but he is black, so is Malcolm X. And, they're both men and straight, but that didn't make me say, I want to be Malcolm X. I want to be Denzel Washington. No. And I've had people who have looked at this and they often have told me, hey, Mike, especially in my younger days when I was a little less gray, and they would say, hey, Mike, you look just like Denzel Washington and Malcolm X. You guys all look the same. Now, let me ask a question about that. When you're looking at that picture, does that change anything for you? The fact that I'm doing YouTube commentary and have been doing so for 15 years, is anyone look at me and going, he's black and straight. And therefore, he's representing me. And I want to do what he does because he's black and he's straight. Does anyone want to become a Republican because they look at me and say, well, he's black and he's straight, so I should be a Republican too? Because if you do say that, don't be a Republican. It's not worth it. It's a waste of your time. And it's actually an insult to me. And my value of those men doesn't come from the fact that they have the same skin color as me. It doesn't come from the fact that they have the same gender as me, even the same sexual preference as me. No, it comes from the fact that they were intelligent, capable of doing incredible things because they have worked hard at it. Besides any natural talent that they may have, they work extremely hard to stand above their peers and to make a difference in the world. Now that is impressive to me. I could say that about Mark Hamill. I could say that about Sigourney Weaver. I could say that about Arnold Schwarzenegger. None of them are individuals that look anything like me, but that doesn't change anything. I've read the books of Aristotle. I've read the books of Homer. I've read the books of Friedrich Nietzsche. None of them look anything like me. They're fantastic. I look at what we're told we're supposed to appreciate, what we're supposed to like. You know what I don't hear people saying when they say, well, you have to be more like, that you have to, they're representing for you. They're there for you as a symbol, something to achieve and to reach forward to. Why is no one saying, I would look at Ben Carson and I want to be a doctor just like him, that I want to become a politician just like him? Why aren't we hearing people say, I want to be like Larry Elder, a member of the press, someone who is respected, someone who can run for elected office and have hundreds of thousands of people to vote for him, someone who is respected around the world? How about my friend Larry Sharpe, a libertarian, someone who can make his own path, who has a success in business, he's been a Marine? We're the people saying, I want to be just like Larry Sharpe because he's black and he's male and he's straight. But does that actually matter? Does that change anything? But he's also a libertarian. Shouldn't people look at him in the same way and say, oh, I want to be just like him because of representation, because of diversity? Or does that have no place in what Larry stands for, in what I stand for? How about this? When we look at the list of famous African Americans, black Americans who are Republicans, does anyone say diversity or representation? Do they say they want to be just like them because you look like me? I don't hear anyone say that. Colin Powell. No, better yet. Condoleezza Rice, Secretary of State, a black lawyer, female, successful, just like Ketanji Brown Jackson. And let me ask you, when you saw Condoleezza Rice speaking for the United States as one of the most powerful women in the entire world, did women look at her and say, I want to be her. I want to be a Republican just like her? Are you seeing these individuals and saying, I must be like them because of representation, because of diversity? Or more likely, you're thinking of 50 Cent, you're thinking of Kim Kardashian. What's the point? No, they should want to be themselves. They should want to be better. And that's what we should tell them. They shouldn't be locked in and told, well, that's the best you can do is to be just like them. No, be better. Make your own. If you don't see that portrayal in a movie or in a TV show or in someone singing, write your own songs. Make your own movies. Portray those characters yourself. Isn't that what we should do for the next generation, is to inspire them, not to trap them into this cage of representation and diversity and say, that's all you can do? I mean, that's what I hear. That's what I see when I watch movies and I listen to individuals like Javicia Leslie, when I listen to what we see at the Oscars and throughout Hollywood, when I listen to many of these politicians and they're talking about representation and diversity, when I listen to college professors and I argue with them about diversity and representation, all I hear is limitation. Stay in your lane, stay in your cage. It's kind of sad. I feel bad for children who are denied the opportunity to listen to what I think is one of the greatest composers ever, Beethoven. You're missing out on so much. You mean to tell me that you can't think of the various stories throughout history that have been written? You didn't get to read them because a black man or a black woman or a Hispanic male or female didn't write them? The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Should I be denied the opportunity to read and appreciate The Art of War, a book that has helped to change militaries and history around the world for thousands of years? And I should not be able to appreciate that. I should not read that. No child should read that because, well, diversity, representation. Seriously? How far do we take this idea of representation and diversity? If you find value in a person that does something that you love to do, regardless of the color of their skin, their gender, their sexual preference, their political ideology, if that inspires you, be inspired. Whether or not anyone else agrees, whether or not anyone else likes what you have liked, you be inspired. Whatever their color, their gender, their sexual preference, their political ideology, that child can then use that inspiration to be the best thing they possibly are. You know, when I hear people tell me that I look just like Malcolm X, when I hear people tell me, say, I look just like Denzel Washington, throughout my life, I've always said, thank you. Because those are great men. They have had great success. I love that comparison because it means I am giving someone else an inspiration, that I have gleaned something from these men and I've been able to share that with others. I know this is very different than what I normally do in talking about politics, and I'm going to edit this, I'm sure. Why is the emphasis on representation? Why is the emphasis on diversity? Why is it not on the quality of the individuals that inspire us? Regardless of the color of their skin, their gender, their sexuality, what difference does that make? I've had people in my life tell me that they have been inspired by some of the things that I've done, that I speak Russian, that I have lived overseas, that I've been in the military, that I have survived many challenges in my life. And it doesn't matter if they were white or black, they were male or female, they're straight or gay. Doesn't matter. Who cares? If I was able to inspire someone in their life to try and achieve more and to do things they never thought they could do before, they don't have to look like me. They just have to be human like me. And isn't that more important? I thank you for taking some time to follow me on this different idea that I wanted to get out of my system. Hopefully it gives you a reason to be inspired, to find something that inspires you.